The blue line I've added, that's the center line of Bass Street. You see that we have trucks here. This is not an 18-wheeler. This is a little bit smaller than an 18-wheeler. It's a 42.5-foot trailer and 7.5-foot rig. So that adds up to about 55 foot from front to back. But you see that the diagram here shows the turning radius of a smaller truck like that would be turning onto the street and potentially using it to access the development. And you see there at 35 feet the truck is well over the center line. And even at 40 feet you see the truck is still over the center line, although not nearly as much. We've argued to TxDOT that the intersection needs to be 40 feet for safety, that even though the city has said, or at least only Walmart has said with the city, that their delivery trucks won't be using Bass to access the development, there's no telling, there's going to be plenty of other retail there. Other trucks are presumably going to use Bass to access the development if they're coming from the west, because it's the most direct route. So we have requested that TxDOT absolutely adhere to a 40-foot curb width, and that a 35-foot curb width is absolutely unsafe and inappropriate for this intersection, if the intersection's even appropriated at all. Here is just a quick look at the front page of our April 6th letter to TxDOT. I wrote this letter, and it's available at the Stop Heights Walmart website under the RUDH at Work section. So if you'd like to read what the letter says, it focuses on Bass Street. That's what this letter was pretty much all about, because TxDOT is concerned with Bass Street because it connects to their frontage, or it would connect. So if you'd like to go read the letter, it's fully available. It gets into much more depth. Okay. Oh, I just said all that. RUDH at Work tab, Stop Heights Walmart. There you see a little part. Okay, let's talk about missing ore development. Really didn't make a lot of progress with the city on this one. They say essentially their argument boils down to we don't predict future land development, and that Aimbender and Walmart's development is in a different stage, and they've filed their plats, and it's concrete. If you watch the webinar, you'd see that ORE is actually promoting the site right now. They have sales flyers, and it's very real what they want to do, and it's right next to the development. But we haven't gotten the city to budge. Councilman Gonzalez did write a letter expressing this as one of his concerns, that 25% of the whole square footage of the planned development in the area is not even included, simply because it's a different owner who hasn't completed certain technical tasks to get the city to recognize that he's planning something. But common sense dictates that, of course, this needs to be included, but the city's not listening. Here's a piece of Councilman Gonzalez's letter where he says there are other proposed developments that may exacerbate these conditions. He feels strongly, and so do we, that it just doesn't make sense. This is the reply to Councilman Gonzalez's letter. I just wanted to point out that in the reply to that, I've highlighted there at the bottom the 3 topics that the reply covers. They don't even reference the ore development in their reply to Councilman Gonzalez, as if he didn't even mention it, I guess. I guess they don't want to think about it. Here's both letters. Councilman Gonzalez on the right, State Rep Farrar on the left. State Rep Farrar sent this letter just a few days ago, last Friday. She's paying attention. We're so happy that someone out of Austin is taking a gander at what the city's doing here. Yale Street Bridge. Both letters. Primary issue, concerns about the Yale Street Load Zone Bridge. It's a really big deal. Let me just quote from Jessica Farrar's letter. As you are well aware, the load limit of this bridge is low enough that it will become a safety hazard if fully loaded delivery trucks utilize the bridge. Additionally, the bridge will need to be repaired sometime in the not too distant future. That was something that was admitted to at our city meeting. Jessica Farrar goes on, if trucks are not allowed on this route, the issue becomes one of enforcement, specifically whether or not any and all offenders will be caught. It will only take one fateful trip over the bridge to create a catastrophe. And if you watch the webinar, you know this is exactly what our argument was. You cannot leave it up to HPD to ticket people as the only enforcement. And Councilman Gonzalez similarly says, it is a problem. And let's take a closer look at this because I think you'll agree. Not only did those politicians send letters, but through our efforts and contacts with the community at large, we have secured letters from Woodland Heights Association, the West End Civic Club, Super Neighborhood 22, and not shown here and just recently signed on to other letters from the Houston Heights Association. What do they all have in common? They all have in common, among a number of other things, but the most important, the Yale Street Bridge, which is what we're talking about now. If you want to see these letters, full copies are available, or they will be available soon. I believe they're slated to be posted either at the Stop Heights Walmart site or the RUDH site. So be on the lookout for those. If they're not posted already, they will be shortly. This is a response, or the response, to Councilman Gonzalez's letter from Public Works and Engineering regarding the Yale Street Bridge. Quote, and underlined for you. While replacement of the Yale Street Bridge due to the proposed project is not essential, given the alternative routing, Public Works and Engineering will continue pursuit of funding at the state and federal level to upgrade this and other load-limited bridges within the city. So, there you have it. The city has claimed, yes, we know it is a problem, but we are just saying that trucks won't go over the bridge. And us just saying it, that's enough. Presumably, absolutely not, in our opinion, and we think the argument is outrageous. I wanted to show you what the different routes are. The red lines indicate the route over the Yale Street Bridge. You see there where the proposed Walmart is to be. The green circle indicates the Yale Street Bridge. So, truck drivers are going to have their option, okay? Which way would you take if you were a truck driver and you weren't so gifted in noticing load zone bridge signs? The blue line is the proposed alternative route that the city says we'll just have them take and everything will be okay. Well, it just doesn't work for us, and if it can't be enforced at site when it happens, something like an overloaded bridge, like Jessica Farrar said, could turn into a catastrophe very quickly. And lastly, I'd like to point out that the Kohler Street extension to Heights, which they're planning on doing, we're not even sure what the turning radius is or whether they'll be parking along the street. Can big, fully loaded 18-wheelers even make that right from Heights onto a Kohler? Is it practical? There's going to be fast food and shopping right around there. Not just Walmart trucks, but trucks serving the other associated retail. So there you have it. The most direct route is right over the bridge, built in 1931. And citizens' lives should not be put in the hands of truck drivers in this situation. Okay, I wanted to point out something else important. I'm going to talk about idling cars on the Yale Street Bridge. That table there, this is an excerpt from my TxDOT letter, by the way. The table there shows, it's a rather complicated setup here, but I had to do it this way to get all the information in one spot. Take the upper left-hand column with the numbers in it for a second, where it says pound 575, pound 496, 13.7%. That pound